A very good evening to all. I, C. Sakshi Vivek Jain, very delighted to welcome you all to this webinar on bank branch audit and practice automation and future of our profession, being organized by CPE committee, that is Continuing Professional Education Committee of ICAI. Today we have with us Honorable Chairman CPE committee, C. Purushottam Khandelwal sir, a very eminent speaker and very learned speakers, past President ICI, C. Amarjit Chopra sir, and C. Rachit Agarwal sir, taking up the sessions. We'll begin with this webinar very soon. Till then, let me appraise you about CP committee. In today's ever-changing professional scenario worldwide, the biggest challenge the professionals face is how to stay on the top of their game while adapting to new requirements and norms. Therefore, it is vital to stretch out old ideas beyond traditional boundaries to create new perspectives. In this context, continuing professional education facilitates professionals to maintain, improve, and broaden their knowledge, skills, and expertise required to achieve their professional goals through these kind of webinars and seminars. Before I invite Chairman CP Committee, C. Purushottam Khandelwal sir, to deliver his welcome address, I would like to brief a little more about him.
Chalega, madam.
Sir, just few lines for you. Sir is a chairman of CP committee and convener of RBI Directorate of ICI. This year, he is devoted to fortifying CP framework and guaranteeing quality across its entire operational spectrum. And this year, major focus would be on upgrading of CPE portal for enhancement of branding and professional competency of members and what not. Sir, I invite you to please deliver your welcome address.
Good afternoon, Honorable Past President of ICI, Honorable Past President of ICI, C. Amarjit Chopra sir, Secretary of the CP Committee, Ajit Naji Tiwari, Sakshi Jain, and respected members. It gives me pleasure to welcome our past President, C. Amarjit Chopra sir, to guide the member on bank branch audit. Everybody knows that the month of March and April is the season for the audit of bank branch. The sir is an expert in the bank branch. He was a central statutory audit of the many banks in the past and current also. I will not take much of the time because the past president sir is here. May I request Sakshi to take it further. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Moving on to our session, before I would hand over the proceedings to our first speaker, Honorable Past President ICICI Amarjit Chopra, sir, I would like to read out his bio to all of you. I know he needs no introduction, but still, see Amarjit.
Sakshi, my request, keep it in 2 lines or 3 lines. Don't read
Yes,
out.
Sir.
Okay.
Definitely, sir. C. Amarjit Chopra, sir, completed his CA in 1975 and have more than 4 decades of professional experience, along with being the president of ICI for the year 2010-11. He has also chaired some of the most significant committees, namely Accounting Standards Board, Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, Corporate Laws Committee, Expert Advisory Committee, and many more. He has delivered more than 3,000 lectures on matters of professional interest in India and abroad. We welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sakshi. And of course, thanks to Purushottamji, the chairman of the CP committee, and the secretary of the committee, Mr. Ajit Nath Tiwari, for providing me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on the bank branch audit, particularly on the verification of the loans and advances in the case of a branch. But before I start, I would only like to say that it is an onerous task. So let me be very clear about it. Bank branch audit is getting tougher, as any other audit is getting tougher. I will leave it to Purushottamji to clarify whether NFRA covers branch auditors or not. Because all banks are listed entities.
Yes, sir.
And if you are the auditor of a listed entity, even if you are the auditor of a branch of a listed entity, to my mind, you are covered with that. This is the way I look at it. So I think if we are thinking that we are branch auditors and we don't run that kind of a responsibility, it's only the central statutory auditors who are running that kind of responsibility. I personally differ, basically, if you really ask me. In my opinion, the branch auditors of a listed entity, because based upon your reports, ultimately it gets consolidated and the final results get in. So, to my mind, the branch audit, I'm only still saying, but I think it's for the institute to clarify, because this will bring in far more seriousness into the branch audit than what it has today. So the institute must clarify whether the branch auditors of a listed entity would be covered by NFRA or not. To my mind, yes, but I still leave it to the wisdom of the council. I will not like to say anything beyond this. Because I personally feel I'm of a very strong opinion that branch audit requires far more seriousness, basically. Rather than it being treated as an annual ritual, that it comes and then goes. I will only say one thing again, that I'm one of those a few individuals who have been saying it for the last 15 to 20 years, that the bank branch audit would not remain what it was and what it will not remain what it is today. I think it has undergone a tremendous change. It will continue to undergo a tremendous change even in the periods to come. And maybe the number of the branches which would be under the audit would go down in the years to come. There are two reasons for it. And again, I will draw attention of Purushottamji and of course Institute on this particular matter. You see, number one, quality is the most important aspect. No council, no president, no individual can actually put forth the case of the profession before the government, before any regulator, unless the quality of the assignments is maintained. I'm not saying that the quality has not been maintained, but what my humble guide is that we have to be ethical as well as have to show professionalism and competence in the case of execution of the branch audits also, as we do in the case of the other audits. And secondly, over the years, the banks have invested very, very significantly into the IT systems. Now, when they have invested into the IT systems and certain things are available on a centralized basis, certain data is available on a centralized basis, one of the perceptions which is coming in now in the minds of the regulators is that somewhere or the other, certain branch audits can be conducted centralized in a centralized manner. Unfortunately, what has been happening is that in the case of the private sector banks like ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, Federal Bank, etc., no branch audit is being conducted. All central auditors are conducting the audits the way they treat it to be, to the extent they treat it to be. But one difference which is there between the private sector banks today and the public sector banks, and that is why the branch audit is still continuing in the case of the public sector banks, is that the loan records, particularly when I say loan records, I'm talking of loan documents. In the case of the private sector banks, are mostly digitized and are available in the central at a central level. Whereas in the case of the public sector banks, the loan documents are still to be digitized. I think the banks are going to make efforts in the times to come, and the regulatory is after them, because once they have invested in so hugely into the IT system, there is no reason that they will not digitize the documents also. Once they digitize the documents, loan documents, believe me, the branch audit will not stay. That's the future. It may happen in 3 years, it may happen in 5 years. I'm not an astrologer. Wish I could have been an astrologer and could have predicted some of the things to come. I may not be able to predict it, but definitely, if any one of us is trying to constitute certain firms primarily for the purpose of the branch audit, I think this is a myth. This is the biggest myth, and it should go away as fast as possible in the interest of the profession and in the interest of the society. Somewhere or the other, I have never liked the idea that if father, son, and daughter-in-law are three individuals who are chartered accountants in the family and they constitute three different firms simply for the purpose of branch audit, that's not going to remain in the times to come. It's the time that we group, regroup, form associations, form partnerships, and then go ahead. I think that's the important message that I'm trying to give you. Because if you have got good sized firm, you may still stand a chance to get some kind of a work from the banks. And if you want to remain proprietors, I leave it to the individual members, and I don't want to comment upon that particular aspect. One of the arguments which the members have always been holding against the banks for the purpose of the audit is that the banks don't give them sufficient time to audit. And the moment they reach the branch, they are being told that you have to leave within 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. That's an unfortunate situation to be in, that I fully concede. But at the same time, I would like to say one thing. It is for me, I am the auditor. Bank is not the auditor. I take the onerous obligation of expressing my opinion. If tomorrow anybody can be held liable for a wrong opinion, it is me, not the branch. It's not the bank. So I must make sure that under all circumstances, I take the time which is required for the purpose of an effective audit, wherein I can express a truthful expression of my opinion. And if I cannot, if the documents are not being made available to me, keep on documenting it. Today, it is a time of mails, basically. Everything is in a form which can be actually put on record. If you are sending mails to a valid ID, in that particular case, nobody can deny that you have sent the mail. You have asked for certain documents. And if the bank is not furnishing those documents, don't keep sitting in the branch. Come back, submit your report, give a disclaimer, whatever you want to give. Unfortunately, we wish कि भाई branch में बैठना चाहिए. We should keep sitting in the branch and keep on asking for the documents. And if they are not providing, I keep on saying, no. The obligation to provide the records is on the banker. If he does not provide you the record, what is your duty? Your duty is to report. Your duty is to express an opinion. And if certain documents are not being made available to you, put it not in the long form audit report. Put it in your main report that these documents have not been furnished to us. And in absence thereof, we are able to express an opinion with regard to those matters. I think that is to me the most important issue. The other thing that I will like to say is, I have always believed in one thing, that if it is a smaller branch, you may take 3 to 4 days, 3 to 5 days. If it is a medium-sized branch, you may take 5 to 7 days. If it is a bigger branch, you may take even 10 days. Heavens are not going to fall. Let's be clear so far as that particular part is concerned. Heavens are not going to fall if you take this much of time, provided you are able to justify that time. I think that's important. If, after all, if you are being paid a particular fee, in that particular case, you have to justify that particular fee also. That doesn't mean that you must keep sitting in the branch, but what is important is that I must be effective in communicating my expression of an opinion. That's the point that I'm trying to make out. The other thing that I'm trying to tell you is, banking is one entity, banking is one industry where everything moves on returns. If I know banking, to me, that is more important aspect. If I know banking, what banking is, bank audit is the easiest form of the audit. I will be able to finish it off in the most reasonable time and in a most effective manner. My humble request to you is, when you send your articles or you send your team for the purpose of the branch audit, acquaint them, apprise them with all the vocabulary of the banking. Now, if the article does know what is the difference between pledge and hypothecation, if it does not know what is the difference between cash credit and term loan, or working capital and term loan, if it does not know what is LC, what is usance LC, what is site LC, if it does not know what is bill, what is usance bill, what is a site bill, you are going to be in problems yourself, because ultimately it is you who are going to sign the reports. And when I say this, because sometimes I say jocularly also, that when an article goes to a bank and the bank manager says, sir, you have to audit a cash credit account. He says cash also, credit also. How is it possible? The two things are not possible. He must understand what is the meaning of the cash credit account. And the other thing that one will like to say is that every bank today has got a system of the returns. When you go to the branch, ask for the calendar of returns. When I say calendar of return, I can only tell you there is no activity in a branch of which there is no return. If there is a devolvement of an LC, there is a return. If there is a fraud, there is a return. If there is a loss of a cash token, there is a return. If there is a invocation of a bank guarantee, there is a return. If there is a non-renewal of a particular account or renewal of a particular account, there is a return. When you sanction a particular loan, fresh loan, there is a return which is going from you to them. For every activity, there is a return. There is a return with regard to the irregular advances also. Why I am using this word of irregular advances, I would like you to understand that. If on 31st December a bank has sent a return to the regional office or to the zonal office, depending upon to which it reports, depending upon which controlling office it reports, if they have written that there are 20 accounts which are irregular, other than these 20 accounts cannot become NPA as on 31st of March. Because the 90 days period will not be over as on 30th March, except these particular accounts. Because what is irregular advance? Irregular advance is where there is an irregularity or there is an overdue amount. Irregularity either in the cash credit account or in the term loan or in the bill or in the default LC. If there is a delay of even 2 days, as on 31st December, 90 days period can be over as on 31st March. And that account can become NPA. But suppose there is no irregularity in a particular account. In that case, only under 2 or 3 circumstances that account can go NPA. Those circumstances can be that if in that particular account a fraud has been committed post 1st of January to 31st of March, or the erosion in the security value has taken place post 1st of January till 31st of March. Barring these 2 circumstances, to my mind, an account may not turn NPA because the 90 days period will not be completed. No irregularity will be there for a period exceeding 90 days in such cases. So what is my duty then? I should ask for the return with regard to irregular advances as on 31st of December. Suppose there were 20 accounts in that. Now these 20 accounts I have to do thoroughly. Let's be very clear. If out of these 20 accounts, 5 accounts have already been classified as NPAs by the bank. So what you are left with is 15 accounts, which were irregular as on 31st of December, but which have been regularized before 31st of March. Whatever has been actually classified as NPA on 31st of March, I'm not too worried about those, except for the fact that what is their actual date of NPA, what amount of interest is to be reversed in those cases, what kind of charges are to be reversed in those cases, what kind of provision is to be created in those cases, what are the securities available in those cases. That is my main worry in that. But the accounts which have been regularized post 1st of January, post 31st of December, till 31st of March, my worry is greater that how these accounts have been regularized. Because the bankers are very smart at times. I will use the word at times, not always. And they know that an account, a term loan is going to become bad. A particular banker, what he can do is that he will overdraw cash credit account and debit cash credit account and credit term loan account. He cannot do. He may also do that he may give an additional facility of the bill and credit the proceeds of those bills discounted or purchased into the cash credit account or into the term loan account where there was an irregularity. He cannot do. Prudential norms are absolutely clear that you cannot clear the irregularity of the bank by giving him an additional loan. There is no way that it can be done. You will have to clear the irregularity of the bank out of your own genuine sources. That is the point which has been laid down. No, what is my duty as an auditor in these cases? So wherever there were irregular advances on 31st of December, please scrutinize those accounts post 1st of January. Look at from where the credits have come. If I am auditing State Bank of India and the credit has come from PNB, forget it. I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I'm not trying to act as Sherlock Holmes with the hat on my head and with the goggles on my eyes that I have to go and find out how this money has come from PNB. No, that's not my choice. But yes, if the money has come from the same branch, some account, I must look at whether this particular transfer is genuine or not. These two parties may not have transacted over last 3 years, but suddenly there is a debit to a particular account and a credit to the irregular account. This must raise your suspicion. And then you should start looking into it, how it has actually happened. And if you don't do it, and tomorrow this account becomes NPA, I think the doubt is on you. The reason being, something which will be credited to the irregular account before 31st of March will be again debited to the this account post 31st of March and credited to the account from where the transfer has come. Now, if that happens, this is the worst of the things to ever happen. And if I fail to catch hold of it as an auditor, I think I'm failing in my duty as an auditor in such cases. So my humble submission to you is, please start looking at these returns with regard to the irregular advances as on 31st of December and start scrutinizing those cases post 1st of January till 31st of March. Document it. I'm using the word time and again. Document it from where these credits have come. Suppose tomorrow, if you have documented it well, that from where the genuine source, that the amount had come from which sources, and you find those sources to be genuine, even if later on the account becomes NPA, post your audit, you are not too worried because you can say, I have already checked this particular account. I have got my documentation so far as this particular aspect is concerned. So nobody will be able to touch you. But if you have not carried out, if you have not exercised that due diligence, you can run into those problems. That's one submission that I will like to make. Other thing that I will like to say is that in March 21st, that is the March 21 of 2021, Reserve Bank of India had come down with certain circulars. One of the circulars was very clear, and that you need to take care of, and you need to report on that. And that circular said that whether the SMA status, special mention account, if there is any irregularity in an account, even if of a single day, whether that is being updated in this system on a daily basis or not. Suppose you are operating an account, and in that particular account, the amount becomes due on a particular date. In the evening, if the amount is not deposited, it must be shown under a special mentioned account where there is an irregularity or where there is an overdue amount of a particular amount. Now, that is something that you have to be very, very clear about. So you have to actually get into this system and find out whether this SMS status is being updated on a daily basis or not on a weekly basis, not on a fortnightly basis, not on a monthly basis, not on a quarterly basis. On a daily basis, this particular part is to be done. The second thing which the circular brought out at that particular point of time was that the bankers have to make sure that the account has to be classified automatically in the system as NPA the day a period of 90 days is exceeded. In the case of cash credit account, 90 days, and in the case of the term loans, etc., the moment it exceeds 90 days. What is the meaning thereof? Earlier, what used to happen was the bank would say that I will classify the account as NPA not on the date on which the 90 days period is over, either at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter or at the end of the 6 months. What the different practices were being followed. Now the Reserve Bank of India has very clearly said no. The date of NPA cannot be different from the date on which the amount had actually become NPA. That having completed a period of 90 days or exceeded the period of 90 days, depending upon the nature of the account. Which would mean that if the statement of advances, where the column of NPA is there, the date of NPA is there, if the bank shows that the date of NPA is 31st of March, 30th of June, 30th of September, or 31st of December, you have got an MOC in your hand right away. You have got an observation right away, because it is not the end of the month on which the account has to be classified as NPA. It is the actual date on which the 90 days period is over that the account has to be classified as NPA as per the RBI circular now. You may say it may not be material, it may or may not be material. I'm not getting into that particular part at all. But what is more important is the day on which it becomes NPA, it has to be treated as NPA. No interest can be charged thereafter. And whatever interest has been charged up to the date of becoming NPA but has not been collected, that amount of the interest has to be reversed. So that's an important aspect that you need to be clear about and you need to take care of. And if they have done in any other manner, please look into that particular aspect. And that would also mean that their system is not automated. The Reserve Bank of India last year has imposed penalties on certain banks where the classification of NPA was not actually automated. Now, if an account, in the case of a cash credit account, because the prudential norms of the cash credit accounts to be classified as NPA are very clear. Number one, if your limit remains exceeded for a period of 90 days, the account becomes NPA. If the debits of interest are more than the credits in a particular quarter, the account can become NPA. No interest, or there is absolutely no service of interest. In that case, the account can become NPA, even if it is within the sanction limits. Or even if it is within the drawing power limit for that matter. So what you are supposed to observe is that in such cases, whether the system throws it out or not, the system should be such which has been parameterized in a manner that if the credits in the account are insufficient in a particular quarter to meet the debit of interest in that particular quarter, the account should have been classified as the NPA so far as cash credit account is concerned. Whether it happens or it doesn't happen, I don't want to get into that. But my submission to you is that you should be looking at it from that particular perspective. The other thing that one will like to say is that cash credit account normally the interest reversal does not take place. Normally, I'm using the word normally. Interest reversal does not take place. Why? I will come to that little later. But in the case of the term loans, in the case of the other loans, the interest reversal would take place, because in that case, either the account becomes NPA on account of non-payment of principal or on non-account of the interest for a period exceeding 90 days. If the amount of interest has not been recovered for a period of 90 days, the amount of that particular interest will have to be reversed under all circumstances. But in the case of a cash credit account, suppose my DP has remained exceeded, my drawing power has remained exceeded, my sanction limit is say 1 crore. I am operating only at 90 lakhs, but my drawing power was only 80 lakhs. And it remained exceeded for a period of 90 days. But the credits are sufficient to meet the interest. So interest will not be reversed. In that case, interest will not be reversed. Because interest has already been serviced, because the credits are more than the debit of the interest. But the account will have to be classified as a non-performing account. Or it could be that the account has remained in excess of the sanction limits. Sanction limit was 1 crore, but the avail limit was 1 crore 25 lakh throughout for a period of more than 90 days. The account could be classified as NPA. But if there were credits in the account which are more than the debit in a particular quarter, you cannot reverse the interest. There is no way that you will reverse the interest. In the banking industry, other loans are not as difficult to be audited as the cash credit account is. In the case of the term loan, it is much simpler to be audited, because you have given a term loan, and what does the term loan say? That you are supposed to make the payments over this period. Now, if you are supposed to make the payments over a particular period, and if your installments become overdue for a period exceeding 90 days, you will classify that account as NPA, and whatever is the interest unrecovered, you will debit it, you will reverse that particular interest also. In the case of a term loan, what you are going to verify is the asset which was supposed to be purchased with the money that you have lent, whether that asset has been purchased or not. Which would mean that you will be definitely looking at there is no diversion of the funds. That would mean also at the same time that the banker should make payment to the supplier of the asset directly. You have to make sure that the payment is being made directly to the supplier. If the bank credits it to the cash credit account and then you leave it to the borrower to make the payment, then you are allowing the chances of diversion of funds, which is no good at the end of the day. You must make sure that the amount which is to be released for the purchase of a particular asset, or for the implementing any of the project, the payments are made directly to the suppliers. Yes, during the project implementation, it might happen that the wages are to be paid. Those will be credited to the cash credit account, and from the cash credit account, these will be paid. But so far as the purchase of the asset is concerned, for that you will not you will not credit it to the current account, or you will not credit it to the cash credit account. You will make the payment directly, so that you want to mitigate the chances of the diversion of the funds. And you should also make sure that it is being, as per the terms of the sanction, that whatever asset, if it was to be purchased, if an asset of a particular brand was to be purchased, it is purchased only of the same brand, which would mean that the invoices must also be available, or the copies of the invoices must be available with the bank also. Now, the Reserve Bank of India says that in the case of the term loan, if you have granted certain moratorium, say for a period of 3 years, you have granted moratorium for the payment of the interest, you will keep on debiting the interest and crediting it to the income. But if suppose the account becomes NPA after 3 years, you will not reverse the interest uncollected for the moratorium period. You will only reverse the interest which were becoming due after the third year and which has not been collected. Why? What is the reason? The reason is when the bank itself went into the project, when they appraised the particular project, when they were doing the appraisal of this particular project, they were very clear that the cash generation would not be sufficient for a period of 3 years to make the payment of the interest. So they allowed more or less the capitalization. So don't ask for the reversal of that interest. But yes, whatever interest has been accrued after the moratorium period, and if that has not been recovered, that amount of interest has to be reversed in those cases. That is very, very clear so far as the Reserve Bank of India circulars are concerned. Another thing that one will like to say before I come to the cash credit accounts, that there are normally the account is to be classified as NPA based upon the recovery of the interest and the principal. But there are at least two circumstances in which it is not the recovery of the principal or the interest which would determine whether the account is to be classified as NPA or not. Those are, number one, account is being operated very fine. There are sufficient debits, there are sufficient credits. But the account has not been renewed or reviewed for a period exceeding 6 months. If an account has not been renewed or reviewed for a period of 6 months from the date of its becoming due, account has to be classified as a non-performing account, irrespective of the recovery in the account. Because that means that the bank is trying to enforce a financial discipline. Why the account is not being renewed or reviewed? Because the party may not be submitting the financial statements. Probably, party may not be able to give its projection clearly. So you want to bring in, you want to infuse a financial discipline in the banking sector. So you say that आपका account कितना भी बढ़िया चल रहा, whatever may be the level at which the account is being operated, whether it is good or bad. But if the account is not being renewed or reviewed for a period exceeding 6 months, the account will become NPA. It will have to be classified as NPA. Which would mean that the system in the branch must have the date on which the account is to be reviewed or renewed. The system must have that parameter. And if the moment the period of 6 months is completed, 180 days is completed, the account should be classified as NPA in that particular case. The second circumstance in which the recovery is not the consideration for determining an account to be NPA or classifying the account as NPA is, one, I have told, it is the renewal basically in these cases. If the account is not renewed or reviewed properly, in that case it would become NPA. There are other non-financial parameters based upon which the account could have been classified as NPA, provided there is a irregularity of more than 6 months. Particularly, in the case of cash credit account, if the stock statement which was given for the purpose of calculating the DP is more than 6 months old, suppose for 6 months the party has not submitted you any stock statement, and you have been calculating the DP based upon the stock statement which is more than 6 months old, the account will become NPA even if the account is being operated satisfactorily. There are sufficient credits, there are sufficient debits, and still the account will have to be classified as NPA in those cases. I think this is again a very, very important feature. So there are two circumstances. There are two circumstances in which the account would become NPA without getting into the recovery part, and those cases will be where either the DP has been calculated on stock statements which are more than 6 months old, or where the renewal of the account or review of the account has not taken place for more than 6 months. So this is an important aspect that you need to keep in mind, and you have to give the MOCs. Before I proceed further, I will like to say something else also. There is one report which you give as long form audit report. I think Rachitji would be taking it, or whoever may be taking it up. No, long form audit report, you must make sure one thing as branch auditors, that there is no inconsistency between long form audit report and the main audit report. Why I say so? In the long form audit report, there is a very specific question. How many accounts are overdue for a renewal or review for a period exceeding 180 days or for a period exceeding 1 year? So there you write 2 accounts. But in MOC you have not given 0. In MOC you have given 0. If there were 2 accounts which were overdue for renewal or review for a period exceeding 180 days or exceeding 1 month, 1 year, in that case, those 2 accounts should have been classified as NPA as per MOC. But that MOC has not been submitted. So you are running into problem yourself. So you must make sure that there are no inconsistencies in your report as per long form and as in the main audit report. Then there are certain questions like whether there are any accounts in which the stock statements have not been submitted for a long period of time. And in the long form audit report, yes, you write, yes, there are 3 accounts in which the stock statements have not been submitted for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 6 months. If those are the cases, where is the NPMOC in respect of those cases? Because if there is no stock statement which has been submitted for a period exceeding 6 months, those accounts should have been classified as NPAs. Because you have based your DP based upon the old statements which are more than 6 months old. But if you don't give it, there is no escape, basically. So what one is trying to tell you is, please be very clear that your main report is not inconsistent with your long form audit report, or rather you are under any circumstances. Because if these 2 reports are inconsistent, you can run into certain other problems which I don't want to discuss right now. I think Purushottamji will be better person to decide whether to refer such cases to the disciplinary committee or not. Because you can't blow hot and cold in the same breath. Well, possibly नहीं that you blow hot and cold in the same breath. At one place you say something else, and the other place you say something else, and you are left with no defense in those cases. Now coming back to the cash credit accounts. I have been saying that cash credit account is the most difficult to be audited in the case of a bank. The reason being is this is not under my control. This is not under my control. The stock statements which are filed by the branch, with the branch, by the borrower, may or may not be certified by any chartered accountant. Normally, these are not certified by any chartered accountant. Please do one thing. These stock statements, you have to be compared with the audited figures. No, this year's audited figures would not be available in any case. You are going to audit 2024. And suppose he submits the stock statement even as of December or of March 24, or December 23 or March 24, you cannot compare it with the audited balance sheet, because by the time you go, that audited balance sheet will not be available with you. In all large advances I'm talking, which are material from the viewpoint of the branch, which may constitute to be 2% of the total portfolio of the branch. अगर एक account constitute 2% of the portfolio of the branch, or maybe 10 crore rupees. Please start looking at it differently. Compare their stock returns which they filed last year with their audited balance sheet of the last year. And you will generally find that the stock statement which they had filed were showing a higher stock statement, higher amount of stock, higher amount of debtors, but much lower amount of the creditors. Audited balance sheet will always show lower stock compared to the stock returns, lower debtors compared to the stock returns, and much higher creditors compared to the stock returns. If that is the case, I think you have got a case. You will be calculating DP, available DP as on that 31st of March as per the audited balance sheet. If no DP was available in that case, because the DP has been to be calculated with reference to the paid stock, whatever stocks you have, the creditors have to be reduced therefrom. Now, if you do not have the DP as on 31st March 2023, go back to 22 also. And if the same position exists on 22 only also, please classify the account as NP on that particular date and bring it here. It might become even doubtful category. Don't leave it. Just don't leave it. We keep on harping about the time. Manager will not give you the time. Even private client does not give you the time here. Which private client gives you the time? Tell me. When does a client come for the tax audit? Which date comes to you? Which time he comes to you? The client who comes to you as on in the month of May, you apply all accounting and auditing standards on him. So next time he comes on a particular date. It is for me to take the time. It is for me to grab the time. And it is for me to do the qualitative audit. So please make sure that you ask in writing that you need the balance sheet of the earlier year and stock returns of the earlier year to make a comparison. And if you find that nothing has come, suppose a debtor, this year you are comparing the stock returns which they are filed with regard to the debtors. And for 6 months, the same debtor, the name of the same debtor with the same amount continues for a period of 6 months. Is the amount being recovered? The answer is no. Why should you accept that particular figure as a debtor? And the other thing that what we like to say is that suppose you pick up a particular P&L account. Suppose you gave a particular party a limit of 1 crore rupees. You would have given him a limit of 1 crore rupees only when he had a turnover of 3 crore rupees or 4 crore rupees, not otherwise. Now, suppose against 1 crore limit, his total credits in the cash credit account are not even 10 lakh rupees. So, where is that turnover of 3 crore rupees? Have you allowed him to operate in some other bank account? The answer is no. So, get into that particular account as much as you can. Because this is once your suspicion bells must start ringing in your mind that there is something wrong about it. If he's showing a turnover of 3 crore rupees and the credits in the cash credit account are only 50 lakh rupees, it can't happen. Either his turnover is bogus, ask for his GST returns, find out what are his what are the figures as per GST returns which he has filed for the sale. We have held certain people guilty. We have held certain members guilty in the disciplinary committee where they had not verified the GST returns or VAT returns to compare the turnover. So what is important for you to make out is that you have to unearth the information. You can't expect a borrower to provide you the information. You have to unearth the information at times. I'm not saying that you become a forensic auditor, but at the same time, reasonable efforts have to be made to ensure that the information which has been filed is correct. There could be certain cash credit accounts in which there will be only 8 entries. Every end of the quarter, interest debited, interest received, interest debited, interest received, interest debited, interest received, interest debited. You did not provide the cash credit account for the purpose of earning the interest. You gave him the cash credit limit for the purpose of running the business, making the purchases and sales. If he's only doing these 8 entries, it only means that he has already diverted the money to some asset and is only keeping his cash credit account alive. It cannot be done. It is diversion of funds straight away. Get into that and issue the MOC, whatever you have to do. Look into the, I'm very clear, in the cash credit account, unless you look at the sanction letters, you cannot actually get into the right position. You cannot even find out what is happening at your bank. Sanction letter and the file of the borrower is very important. Whatever good cash credit accounts are there, material cash credit accounts are there, please go through their files. There are specific reasons for it. Number one, when there is a sanction letter, it shows certain compliances to be done, whether those compliances have been done before the disbursal of the loan. Secondly, when the project is being appraised, when the requirement for the working capital is being appraised, they would mention that the stock for period of stock will be further divided into finished products, raw materials, work in progress, and tools and stores and spares. They will mention the period that maybe finished goods can be for 45 days, raw materials can be for 30 days, work in progress could be for 15 days, and stores and spares for whatever period may be mentioned there. I give you one example. In a balance sheet, we found that the work in progress was to the extent of 10 months sale value. Now, work in progress could not have been more than 15 days to 30 days as per the assessed levels. When you assess the working capital requirement, you do that. And you also assess the creditors. What will be the level of the creditors? You also assess the level of the debtors. Now, you normally, then if the work in progress is supposed to be, say, 1 month, and it is of 10 months in the balance sheet, there's something wrong. You cannot fund against that work in progress. The DP cannot be calculated against that work in progress. And when we went deep into the matter, what we found was average sale value of that product was 1,300 rupees per kg. And work in progress was being valued at 2,400 rupees per kg. Which meant that if WIP was to be converted into finished product, another 100 or 200 rupees would be incurred, which will mean that it will be 2,500 or 2,600 rupees. A 2,600 rupees product was being sold at 1,300 rupees. That means the bank was funding the losses. It was not. They were showing higher work in progress only to ensure that there is a DP available. That account had 16 to 1,800 crore rupees of the banking industry, and that account was classified as NPA. So what one is trying to tell you is, please read the sanction letter. Read the sanction letter, compare it with the balance sheet. The level of the stocks, the level of the debtors, the level of the other current assets, the level of the creditors. In a particular balance sheet, you find the working capital limit is 5 crore, but the cash in hand and bank balance combined together is 10 crore. Why does he require the working capital limit? For what? If some balance sheet is showing 2 crore rupees of cash and he is enjoying a cash credit limit of 1 crore, hey, there's something wrong somewhere. Why will he have cash in hand of 2 crore rupees having a cash credit limit of 1 crore rupees? I think these adverse features we can read from the balance sheet, provided we have the analytical abilities to do that. I'm sorry to say that most of us don't read the sanction letters. Some of us don't read the sanction letter. And if you read the file of the cash credit borrower, what happens in those cases is that the manager has written in letter that you are not sending us your stock statements. We have tried to check up with you. You don't allow even the inspection. If these are the kind of letters which are being written by the manager himself, is it not indicating problem? It is an indicating, all these letters are indicating problems in a much greater manner. So then start looking at those accounts far more carefully. If the letters are all positive, then fine. But if the letters are showing negativity, then there is a problem area. If your own manager writes that our inspector had gone to inspect your stocks, but you didn't allow him the inspection, what does it mean? I don't have to say this. You just have one balance sheet. I will just give you one instance of a rice seller. You pick up the balance sheet of a rice. I am not talking purely from the point of view of rice seller. It can happen in any company. But I am talking where in the case of a rice seller it happened. The balance sheet of 1 year gave the comparative figures also. Last year creditors were very high, loans were zero. This year the creditors were very low, but the loans had gone up. What they had done? The creditors were being shown as loans. So we said, if these are new loans, please show us where is the amount of credit in the cash credit account or in the current account. It was nothing but fraudulent. The creditors had been converted into loans, because if they had continued to show it as creditors, then there would have been no limit. There would have been no drawing power at all. Friends, one can go on and on so far as the cash credit account is concerned. Cash credit account is one of the most, I can say, ticklish area, problematic area. Then there are accounts which are demand loans. Now here I will only give you one point, because when I talk of demand loans, these are loans against fixed deposits, these are loans against NSCs, Kisan Vikas Patra, LIC policies, etc. Now the prudential notes say very clearly, till the time there is an adequate margin in these accounts, you need not classify these accounts as NPS, even if the interest is not being recovered. But of late, one has been able to find out, suppose you have given a loan against a policy, against a fixed deposit of 100 rupees, you gave a loan of 75 rupees. What was the margin? 25%. You credited these proceeds to the current account of the party. He created another fixed deposit out of these proceeds. And again you gave a 75% loan of that. Of 75, what will be the 75%? About 62,000 probably. Whatever would be the amount. I leave it to firm. It will be not 62,000. It will be about 55,000 rupees loan again to be created. Now you think of it, what was his amount, total amount that he had given to you? He got a fixed deposit of rupees 100. He took a loan of 75 from you. Again, against this 75, you have given a loan of how much? 55. He had given you 100 rupees, you have given him a loan of more than 125. How do you say the margin is there? Suppose now the interest is not being received, whether the account should become NPA or should not become NPA. It is not window dressing at all. Window dressing is in the form that he has created more advances, he has created more deposits. But I am not bothered about that. But he has virtually breached the prudential norms also. He is not receiving the interest, but you are not classifying the account as NPA, saying adequate margin is available. Where that margin is available? Bank's own money, 75,000 rupees, against which you have given. So I have to total up the loan given 75 plus 55. The borrower's money was only 100. let's be clear, there is no margin available in this case. Leave it to you. Whatever is to be done. Till last year, people were saying against gold loan, why should I convert those to NPA? Gold is available. RBI has itself said this time, the RBI governor has expressed concern over the gold loans. They just keep on renewing those loans. They just keep on rolling over these gold loans. Rollover cannot be done like this. Renewal is something different. Rollover is something different. He is unable to pay you the cash. You keep on roll over the. You continue to roll over the gold loan. No, interest has to be received to save it from the being NPA. You talk of government guaranteed loans. One thing is very clear. In the case of these government guaranteed loans, it is not a letter of the Secretary of the Government of India, letter of the Secretary of the State Government, which is important to say that we have sanctioned, we will stand guarantee for you. No. What is important is that there should be a tripartite agreement between the government, between the banker and between the borrower on a stamp paper. Then it is a government guaranteed loan. Then you go through the terms and conditions. If the government has actually only guaranteed 10% of interest and you are charging him 12% of interest, how that 2% is guaranteed by the government? There is no way that that portion can be shown as guaranteed. And in both central government guaranteed loans and state government guaranteed loans, one thing is common now. If the interest is not being serviced, reverse the interest. But in the case of the state government loan, the account will be classified as NPA. In the case of the central government guaranteed loan, you will not classify the loan as NPA, because if you classify a central government guaranteed loan as NPA, the government becomes NPA. That you can't do. After all, the sovereign government of the country, if they have guaranteed a loan, you can't say that you are non-performing. So I'm classifying this account as non-performing. You expect that the government will pay. But yes, the interest will have to be reversed if the interest is not being serviced in such cases. And so far as agricultural loans are concerned, must make sure under all circumstances, my friends, that these agricultural loans are for the purpose of, primarily for the purpose of the agriculture. Suppose a person is selling agricultural implements, tractors, etc., or he is selling some other agricultural tools, and you have allowed him the cash credit facility. That is not an agricultural loan. Agricultural loan is something which has to do something with the produce. It can be through the farm, agricultural farming societies or otherwise, or cooperative societies, or it can be directly to the individuals. Thumb rule in the case of the agricultural loan is that the day you have disbursed it and if for 3 years it has not been repaid, it will become an NPA. Thumb rule, I'm using the word. Forget about short term or long term. Long term is one which is having a long term crop which exceeds 12 months period, and so far as the short term crop is concerned, other than the long duration crops are short term crops. किसी भी case में if it is exceeding 3 years or more, make it NPA without doubt. You cannot be saved. But yes, if there are natural calamities, and natural calamities are declared by the state government or by the central government, and the other party is unable to repay, that moratorium can be granted to them, and the account will still be classified as performed. I think Purushottamji, I can go on, but then I think it is exactly 1 hour that I started, and I don't want to breach my timelines.
Sir, you have nicely explained to everyone, sir.
But whatever I could explain with regard thereto, I've tried to do it in a simple manner. But if there will be any queries, it can be written to me, I will answer those. Or if at all these are there in the box, I will answer. Okay.
Sakshi.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a deep analysis, expert opinion, and valuable insights on the topic. We have some of the queries with us. Shall we, sir?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the first query is, cooperative banks recover principal of housing loan first and recovers the interest at a later point of time after completely recovering the principal. In this case, how to recover?
That is as per the terms of the sanction. No harm done in that. They can keep on accruing the interest in that case.
Okay, sir. The next query is, if interest not served in loan against government securities like LIC, etc., whether they also classify as NPA?
I have already told you that if you have got the not securities, I am telling against LIC policies, if the margin is available, it will not be classified as NPA. If margin is inadequate or is not available, in that case, the account will be converted into NPA. I have already said it. But this is not against the securities. This is only against the LIC policy. Let's be very clear. Because whatever loans you take against the shares or against the debentures, on those the normal prudential norms will apply. There the concept of the margin would not come into play. But if you give a loan against LIC policies or NSC or KVC, in that case, if the margin is available, then in that case, the account will not be classified as NPA.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next query is, after SB observations, if the bank recovers the amount and makes it nil overdue post 31st March, is it okay to leave it by 31st March without MOC but mention the same?
I will not agree because I am auditing 31st of March. I will classify that account as NPA. I will give the MOC and I can still put it in the remarks that post 31st March the amount has been recovered. Let the central auditor take the risk. I will not take the risk.
Okay, sir. So the next question is, in some loan for moratorium period, interest need to be collected as per loan agreement, and if such interest not recovered, then whether account can be NPA?
I have already said that if the interest had been granted and the moratorium had been granted for the interest, in that case, the account will be considered as NPA post-moratorium period if that interest is not recovered for the post-moratorium period. And the interest for the pre-moratorium period will not be reversed, but for the post-moratorium, it will be reversed also and the account will be classified as NPA also.
Okay. Sir, one common questions from few of the members from the point of view of first-time auditors. What are the basic things to consider for first-time statutory bank audit?
I think I have already told them.
So,
I've already told them with regard to calendar of returns.
right, sir.
They should not be scared of the branch manager. Let's be very clear. You see, I can quote one thing very common, which used to happen, now it has reduced quite significantly. You send your team, and when you reach, the branch manager will start telling you what a team you had sent, sir. Such a nice team, sir. Such intelligent people you have sent. This branch manager will do in any case with you because he's trying to play on your psychology. You have to play on his psychology. And now some of the branch managers used to tell, sir, the moment you reach and your team is there, sir, there is a temple, sir, here, 50 kilometers away. Sir, whatever you think of, it comes true in that. जो मानते हो ना सर वो मिल जाता है सर अच्छा a fellow like me at the age of 72 does not expect too much from the God except that if at all something has to happen, must happen peacefully and the children must remain peaceful and they may grow. But a student who is with me, the article clerk, who is doing the final, वो कहता है साहब अपना छोड़ दो मुझे तो पास होना मेरे को तो मन्नत मांगने दो पास होने की. And then he takes you next day to the temple. The time that he had told you 1 hour is not 1 hour, it's 4 hours. And once you come back after spending the full day, sir, now everything is fulfilled, sir. Every demand, every wish of yours is already fulfilled. No, the audit is complete, sir. What do you have to do? This is the art of the manager who can play with your psychology. Don't allow him to play with your psychology. He will ask you during lunchtime, sir, I think we should go out for the lunch. The moment you go out for the lunch, you spend 3 hours or 2 hours. You say no, you call for the dosa and idli or vada here or matar kulcha. We'll eat here. And within 15 minutes, you are done with your lunch. It is for me to actually do certain things. It is for me to practice certain things which I find difficult to do. And when I go for the first time, I am very excited. Yeah, first time audit of a bank. And when I enter the chest box for cash verification, I can't tell you what can be the glow on my face. It is difficult to imagine the glow on my face. I'm going to, because in the CA office there is no cash available. हमारे लोगों के पास cash है कर्मचारियों के पास. And when you enter a chest where there is cash here, cash there, and you start counting, you have a different. And if you send your article to a gold chest, and you are verifying the gold, वो कहते हैं gold कहीं लग जाए थोड़ा. So what I'm saying is that this excitement of the first time audit is altogether different. We have gone through that. I'm not saying that. We have also gone through that. But calm down. I will only tell them not to feel excited. Calm down. Read the nature of the branch. The most important is, what is the nature of your branch? Is it deposit oriented? Is it advance oriented? If it is advance oriented, whether term loan oriented, cash credit oriented, fund based oriented, non-fund based oriented, what kind of loans they have given more? Educational loans. Educational loans have their own problems. Now, in educational loans, suppose you disburse the loan in the first year, but after 2 years, for the next 2 years, it does not come to you. Why is not coming to you? Because he started his studies and then has left in between. Then that account is NPA in any case. Suppose it is a 3-year degree course. He has availed the loan for the first year, but for the next 2 years, he has not come to you. You have also not bothered. You think that he is not coming, is not coming. He is not coming because they left the studies and has gone away. The account has to be classified as NPA. The unfortunate part is that I have to make sure that I remain cool and calm. And I have to study the nature of the branch, study the nature of the loan and advances or deposit. Some branches could be fixed deposit oriented, some could be current account oriented, some could be saving bank oriented. If these are saving bank oriented branches, the interest component will be lesser compared to the fixed deposit oriented branches. And if it's current account oriented branches, the interest would be more or less nil. So ये सब पहले मुझको study करना पड़ेगा. That's important.
Sir, these were some of the queries. Thank you for answering them. And on behalf of CP committee, I would again like to thank you for taking your time off your busy schedule and enlightening us with your knowledge. Thank you so much, sir.
In our age, there is no one.
Thank you, sir.
We are all free. In our age, busy are people in the age of Purushottam Khandelwal or.
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you a
sir.
lot. God bless everyone, and particularly congrats to all those who got the audit for the first time. God bless you with very good working. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Bye.
Moving on to our next session, that is session 2. We have with us again a very learned speaker, CA Rachit Agarwal, sir, all the way from Jhansi, delivering upon the topic practice automation and future of a profession. But before I invite him to begin with his deliberation, I would like to introduce you all to him. CA Rachit Agarwal sir was the chairman of Jhansi branch of ICI for the year 2020 to 21 and became a member of research committee of ICI in 2022. He was awarded with the best presenter for professionals topic in the field of indirect taxation and financial management. He has also been working as a trainer in the field of business analysis and automation, amplifying the impact of what to do, etc. So we welcome you and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sakshi. And I would like to thank, first of all, the chairman of the CP committee, CA Purushottam sir, for giving me the opportunity. And I hope, see, we were talking about the bank audit. I don't know what is the future of this bank audit and what will be the what will be the fortune of the members with the bank audits. And it is a round of discussion from last so many years. And I don't know if so many of the first audit, I don't know how many of them are the first auditors. Earlier, we used to talk about the bank audit, and it is one of the service which is the major part of our profession and our research. So I don't know what is the future, and maybe central council members are not also aware about the fact what will be the future of this thing. So moving forward, I'm talking about today. I'm talking about business automation. It is called. I always call it a business automation because we as a practitioner are not taking this as a business, but literally talking about the practice. Now, what is the fortune of this practice will be dependent upon your thought process. See, we as a professional has been doing a great work from so many years, and believe me not, we are the one who, by the help of whom, all the business has been grown like anything. See, so many businesses have grown like 10x, 20x, but why our practice has not grown like that? We have to think about it because we as a professional haven't think about that. So today our session will be on that. We'll be talking about how it will be helpful to automate the practice and what will be the future of the profession. So let me share the slides first so that we can have the look at it. See, if we talk about the things today, we are dealing with so many things. When we enter the office, we go with some of the thought that we will do this, we will do that, we do have the planning for that. We usually plan our day. CAs are normally a planned person. But when we enter the office, what happens? Whatever we do, we don't get the desired return against that. If we are doing a work, we are doing 24/7. I believe the CAs are the hard workers. They are the utmost hard workers. And when we compare our returns with our hard work, whether we get the desired return or not, that has to be seen in this particular thing. And second thing is whether what we are doing is getting the whether we are getting so many calls and whether these calls are actually worth it or not, that we have to see. Focus labs, when we work on one thing, it's a focus labs, training issues, research and development, staff efficiencies, fees collection, data, so many things and so on. It goes on. So when we enter into the office, we come with some thought that we will do this. But when we reach the office, there are so many walls we have to handle. So many walls, if it not handled well, can get down. So that is the thing. We are working like a juggler. We are juggling with so many of the bottles. If any of the bottles will fall down, so the client will fall down. Any of the notice, you enter with something that you have to give the report. And when we end up the day by doing the things which we don't want to. So this is the fact of our profession. This is the fact of our working, which we are doing right now. So what happens now? Whatever we plan, we don't get the desired result. And this is the fact of our life. And if I talk about the pains, these are the pains which we usually face. Nowadays, it is like changing mandates and tax laws. You have to read each and every law, and it's like once again, I would like to tell you that we are the masters of these. Every law we are dealing with, so many laws we are dealing with, there are so many changes, and we need to adopt to that. So how can we do that? Changes in technology, staffing issues, client retention, late night settings, due dates, communication with clients, crying for documents and data to clients, deadline for notices, last day completion of work, training issues, selection of fees collection, negotiation with clients, so many of the issues which we have to address. And these are not getting us the results which we want. Family issues, and these are all the results. You are having the bad health, you are working 24/7, and your family relationships, your relationship wife, your relationship with family, all the things are being at sacrifice. And what we are getting against it, see, if you are dealing with some of the notice of the client is sitting and sleeping at his home, and we are working on that. This is the case of our profession. So is it worthwhile? Is it worthwhile? And do you think that you are enslaved to your own profession, your own firm? And most importantly, now you have become the stranger to your own family. Your family doesn't know. They doesn't see you for so many days. When your child wakes up, you are in the office, and when you get back to your home, your child has already slept. So, do you think that this will help you in growing your practice? I don't think so. So, what is the need of the hour? It is the need of the hour to change yourself, because you started this practice, this profession with great passion. And what was that passion? Was to get the respect. If I have chosen this profession, the most important of it, where we have seen the respect for this profession. And of course, this is a reasonably high respectable profession, to earn the highest income and create wealth, to have a healthy life, to have a good time to enjoy the resources with your family, and to grow at the highest velocity and diversify yourself. But are we literally doing it? Are we getting a healthy life? Are we getting the financial resources at the optimum level for which we are working? Are we growing like anything? See, if I compare the businesses, some of your clients have been with you from last 10 years, 20 years. For example, they have started with the profit of 10. Now they are into 200 rupees. But if you have started your practice with 10 rupees of sales, 10 rupees of revenue, whether your revenue has been increased 200 times or 20 times or whatsoever amount, it is not the case. Why is it not the case? Because we run a practice as a practice only. We are a technician who works day and night to serve the best to our business personalities, business profession, whatsoever we are dealing with to the clients. But we don't work on our systems. And when we don't work on your systems, literally your precious time are somewhere going for the some work which is not giving you the same results. So do you think the current systems can change your situation? Do you think this particular situations can be changed by your current systems? I don't think so. But what to do then? The answer is no. And in most cases, you cannot change this situation with your current set of practices, your current set of systems. So what to do? Then it is how you can do it. I call it a digital era CA firm. Digital era CA firm. See, when we talk about the current practice forms, we are dealing with so many of the things like ITR filing, audits, and all these things which we are dealing with from last so many years. But you literally think that this will be there in the future? Whether you will be dealing with these things, ITR filing, audit doing, statutory, internal audit, all these things in the future. With the coming of this digital era, whether you think your profession will be serving like the same way, which it has been serving from last so many years, I don't think so. If we talk about the bank audits in the previous era, 15 years back, we used to audit the books which are manually driven, manually made. Now you are doing a system audit, or you can do an audit through the systems of the banks through CBS, and all the data has been maintained through system. And we believe that all the data which has been done entered in the masters are true and correct, and for that we do IS audit. So the audit tools which we were using in the earlier years cannot work now. But if we have not transformed ourselves for this adaptability of the systems, whether we could work with that systems, it cannot be. You cannot work on these systems. So when we are adopting ourselves for the changing technology in the profession where we need to apply our audit tools, why are not we changing our own systems, our way of working, internal working? I'm not talking about the audit tools or the checklist or the audit standards. I'm talking about the internal way of working. Why you need to take each and every call right now? If I will say any of the calls if your phone is at your table and it rings, you cannot avoid that call at any cost. So how to deal with it? If you're doing an important work and your phone rings, you will leave that particular thing and you will concentrate wholly on that particular phone. Now, if you have invested your 20 minutes on a particular aspect and this call rings, the whole of the 20 minutes effort has gone to the either 10% or 20% level. So do you think it will work like this? Why our practice are not going? This is the main reason. What happens with the business? When the business is there, they divide their fields into various things: marketing, sales, production, operations, finance, everything. Each and everything has been divided into various things. And we work on that. Everyone is responsible for their own responsibilities. But in your firm, you are a Superman. You are dealing each and everything. You are responsible from one to another thing. Each and everything, if it has been there in your firm, you are 101% responsible. Do you think it is possible for any person? We, in the today world, we think that we are multitasker. And I believe that multitasking is just a myth. It's a myth. No person, no human being can be a multitasker. If you are doing a multitasking, you are either leaving your concentration on one thing and giving it to another. So what will happen when you leave a particular task and get into another task? Your 100% that concentration from the previous task has been lapsed, and you're not giving the 100% attention to the other task also. So what will happen? The results will take more time. People used to think that by multitasking you can save time. I believe that by multitasking you cannot save time. The time will take you will take more time if you will have a multitasking on in your personal behavior. So that is one thing. What happens? We believe that computer can also do multitasking. Why can't I? Computer, whenever do the multitasking, it releases its RAM from that particular window and uses it for the another window. So they do have the capacity to switch over from the RAM, but you can't do that because you're a human being. So I believe this is the main reason wherein we cannot do multitasking. And what happens in your office? You are doing a multitasking because see, some staff is coming with you and says, check this report. And you have to check this report because it's urgent. It's urgent. We have to give this 15 minutes by 15 minutes. Why don't we be dealing with that particular thing from previous so many times? We haven't called our client. We haven't instructed our client, sir, if you want this work, you should give it at least 3 days time or give us. Because for that, it is a system required thing where a system is there. If the limit is getting overdue in the next month, we do have the data maintained with us that this limit is getting overdue in the next month. Our systems will call them, sir, next month your limit is getting due. Either you submit your documents today itself so that we can give it on your time. Otherwise, what will happen? You cannot tell me that I need it urgently. Otherwise, it will be a charges, 2%, 3% penalty interest will be charged. So this will be the situation of the things if it is in the system. I'm just giving you an example. There are so many things which can be applied. So when I talk about the thinking, it is tactical thinking versus when we call out it as it's a tactical thing or tactical thing versus a strategic thinking. We are into things which has to be strategically think. If you will not strategically think, the things will not change for you. If I talk about the technology 10 years back, what would happen with the technology? You would not have been imagining the technology like today. The mobile phone, the single mobile phone is carrying each and everything of yours. But have you ever imagined it 10 or 15 years back that your mobile phone can be a single instrument where you can do each and everything on your phone? I don't think so. And what is currently getting into the systems? It is AI. In the next 10 years, the AI will vanish each and everything from your practice. These are all the things which we are doing will be done by the AI. And it has already been started. We have already seen how the letter has been drafted, how the coding of the systems can be done, how the mail management can be done. So this is the future of the technology. And whether if we have not adopted this technology, if we will not adopt with AI, whether we can survive in the system? No. So when the technology is changing, why are we not changing our pattern of practice? If we will not change the pattern of practice, we cannot grow 10x, 100x. If we need to grow that way, we need to understand the fact that the technology, like the technology is changing, we need to change the systems. We need to adopt to a system which can work I will take an example of a service, one more service sector. It is called a hotel industry. I'm very much impressed with the hotel industry. If you visit any of the hotels of the Radisson chain or any of the chains, when you go there, you experience the same thing again and again. Na? Whenever you enter the hotel and the reception area, the feeling is same. The people who are standing are same. The people who are arranging the rooms are the different ones, but the experience is always the same. And you don't know the owner of that business or that hotel. But whenever you will book the hotel, you will book that chain, either Radisson, either any one of them. So why? Your confidence with the brand is very high. And these all are service sectors. They do have to change the towels again and again. They do have to clean the room. They do have to clean the washrooms, bathrooms. All have to be cleaned and all have to be served again and again. They all have to serve the food. So the people who are working in that system, these hotels are not the qualified ones. They are not the very much qualified. They are not the graduates who are working in the hotels. So how can they perform the same things again and again, and they are working well in the system? Because they do have the operating manual for that. They do have the operations manual for that. And we think that the system should be very vibrant enough. They should be adopted with the technology. It is not so. If you are not adopted to the technology, your person, if they have the system that you have to do this is the checklist you need to carry with you. And if it is done, it will be a same service and same experience again and again. Even with the towel, if the towel has been folded like in some manner or some another manner, it will be folded like that itself again and again. So it is a practice of doing the things again and again. It is a training part which we inculcate in the people. And when you inculcate these practices in the people used to get the best out of them. So it is something which can get the best out of your practice if you inculcate these systems. So if we are adopting the artificial intelligence, the technology part, you have to adopt the systems so that we can grow like a business in the practice. If you cannot change yourself, your attitude towards the practice, if you're not changing your attitude towards the working of your practice, you cannot grow like anything. It is the fact of the practice, the destiny of the practice in God's hands if you're not working like that. So I always believe there are two types of tasks which you usually do. One is purely operational part. I believe that is all we are doing from so many years, like all ITR, audit, day-to-day calls, work verification. The staff brings us some work and we verify the checking, and all these things we are doing from last so many years, preparing reports for the clients and talking to client, collection of fees. All these are operational work. And another one is growth work. And growth work is like, say, for example, we are developing a new product. In our industry, we usually think about it because we always believe that in our industry, it is specific to some fields which we need to work. But believe me not, if you are working on some fields, if you are working on some new product development, like one of them is like automation of the business, automation of business for clients. It is one of them. Financial management, which we are doing it from so many years, but we are not automating it. We are not giving system driven, or even if you are working on your system itself. See, for example, I will take an example of an ITR. If ITR has to be filed, it has to be have a same columns. Even if you say the form has same columns again and again, you have to mention a PAN number, Aadhaar number, passport number, bank account details, so and so. 80% of the data is same and again. But having said that, you need to work again and again on that things. The staff is not taking the same things again and again. You need to check that whether this has been done or not. Why? Because the process checklist is not there. What they need to check. Even if the client is having the same type of income again and again, then also you need to check whether the return has been prepared well or not. The staff which is working with you from last so many years, even after that, you need to check the returns. Why is it so? Is it not the pain? The audit which has been conducted by the staff from last so many years, and you are working on the same audits again and again, the staff is doing the same audit again and again. Still, you need to check it out whether the audit has been done properly or not. Because in spite of the fact that you do have the checklist with the staff that these the thing have to be checked again and again, and then also the audit has to be checked by you. Why? Because we have not created the process for that. The process flow chart has not been there. The process checklist is not there. We always prefer for the automatic things, but if we invest this time, once you have done one thing for the one client and you have made a system for that, this particular one-time effort will give you a 100 times result. If you know the rule of 30x training, 30x training is what 30x training says. Usually what happens with us, whenever we are doing some work and the staff come to us that this work is, so I cannot get this work, so please do it. Either tell us. So what happens? Either he comes with that work with some mistakes and all that. So we say it's better to do by myself, and I will do that myself. So what happens if you're doing that, investing 1 hour on that particular task again and again for 365 days or 300 days, and if you train that person, for example, in spite of 1 hour, you take 10 hours to train that person in one case, and or 20 hours, then it is 100% sure that person will learn whatsoever capability it may be, even if it's a 4th grader, then also you will be learning that skill. And once you have trained that skill to that person, again, that person will come with the proficiency in that work, and you don't need not to check again. So you have saved 340 hours, at least 280 hours for a year. And once you have saved that 280 hours for a year, this will be the big thing for you, and you need not to work again and again on the same task again, during your lifetime. So what happens with whenever we train up people, we usually train and leave them. We don't analyze the things. It is 90% of our responsibility for the first 4 weeks to monitor that. It is a 10% responsibility of that person. If you will take the 90% responsibility in the first 4 weeks and you train the people, and in the next 4 weeks, it is 50% responsibility of yours and 50% responsibilities of them. And in the next 4 weeks, it is 10% of your responsibility and 90% of their responsibility to work. So it is like I always say, whenever you start training the people, you don't get the desired result and you leave it. You have done 80% of your efforts, and you have left that thing, and then 20% which is remained has to give the results, but that has not been treated well, that has not been taken care. So 80% of your efforts are wasted in just because you are waiting for the results, and it hasn't come in the 80%. So you have left the 20% where the result was there. So this is the case with us, and we usually do that. So whenever we divide our task into 2 things, one is operational and another one is growth, you will see that most of the tasks which you are doing will be 80% operational and 20% growth. It will be 80% operational and 20% growth. If you are right now, think about it, and you write down all the list of all the work you do, you will see that whenever you will list down, you will see that 80% of the tasks which you are doing in a day is purely an operational task, and 20% of them are growth related. So what will happen? Your firm will grow by 20%. Now, you cannot grow more than that. If you are only investing 20% in growth and 80% in operations, then 80% it will be operational and 20% will be your growth. So what do you need to do? You need to list out all your tasks. And one more thing, whatever will be the operational task now, you don't love them, but you do them. You love only the task which gives you growth. You like only that task which gives you growth. And your energy is only in those tasks which gives you growth. The operational task drains you. Whenever you enter the office and you get back to your home, you are like, you don't want to talk to your wife, and you are irritated enough that leave me, please. I'm tired. Why it happens? Because Sadhguru always said, if you are loving your work, you will get the energy. Even if you have slept for 2 hours, you'll get the energy. And if you're not getting the energy from these works, that means these works are not giving you the same results, and they are not the growth oriented work. So you have to invest your time in the growth things rather than in operation. I am not saying that you have to leave them all the operational things, but you need to manage. So divide your work into 2 works. One is operational part and another one is growth. And all the growth part has to be taken in the first half and all the operational into second half. So what will happen now? Your energies will be you're fresh in the morning, and whatever systems you are planning, whatever you are thinking for the growth, it will work in the first half. And once you are done with this growth part, invest all your time of the second half in the operational thing. So what happens? Your both the operational and growth will be managed well. And what will happen? The staff will get the new energies. They will get the new things. They will get the new trainings. They will get the new energies in them. So overall, your growth will keep starting. You will be focused on growth then, rather than on this part that this need to be completed, that need to be complete this, complete that. This will be this is your current situation. What happens with you? It is always some of 100 of the tasks which even applying so many things, your task has been pending. So it's better to have a system for the growth. Nobody have been ever calculated this thing. We are the best in this. We are the best. We calculate this thing for so many of the people, but we have never calculated this for us. Have you ever calculated your current value of time? Have you ever calculated? For example, if you are earning, 24 lakh or 2.4 crores per annum. So what is your value of time per hour? 10,000, for example, if I'm taking an example of 2.4 CR, if you are earning 2.4 CR in a year. So what is your current value of time? 10,000 per hour. See, if you are if you have wasted this time, for example, now let me take an example. A person came for a checking of an ITR, and you've invested 1 hour in that or half an hour. 5,000 of your rupees has been gone in that. Or even if some person came with something and you have wasted 1 of your hour in that just for the discussion, 10,000 of your rupees has been gone in that. Even in handling your calls, the person who can handle your calls can be of a salary of 20,000, 25,000, and they can delegate these works. But you have invested at time of 2 hour in this thing. So 10,000, 20,000 rupees has been invested in that. So even with your current value of time, you're not justifying all the activities which you are doing. 80% of the activities which you are doing are not meant for you, but you're doing it. They can be replaced by the person of the caliber of another level, which can handle these 80% tasks. The more of them are the operational one, but you are doing it. And you are wasting 80% of your energies in that. If 20%, if you will use that 20% time, 20% of your actual working, which is related to you, and release your 80% time, this will add to your growth. In 20%, you can add 80%. If everyone knows about it, I will first let you know, get your current CVOT calculated. I will tell you right now that calculate your CVOT, whatever, and write it down. And put it in your office that this is my CVOT. Anything beyond that has to be taken care. Anything less than that should not be taken care. Should not be taken care by you. It has to be given by the system. Anything which has been below your CVOT has to be given in the system. Now let's see. Everyone has been known about the fact of 80-20 Pareto rules, which works on each and every aspect of your life. When you see your tally, whenever you see your books of account, you will see that 20% of your client gives you 80% of the fees. 20% of your staff handles the 80% of your clients. 20% of your client gives you the 80% of the headache. So this is the fact of the practice, that 20% of everything is giving you the 80%. 20% of the efforts is giving you 80% result. 20% of the things giving you 80% of the happiness. So this rule applies to each and every aspect of your life. And what happens with us, we usually go for that 80% because 20% of the clients which give you 80% of the revenue gives you the 20% of the headache. They don't give you the 80% of the headache. You are not even bothered about them. You're not meeting them because they are the ones, whatever you're giving them, they are accepting it. They are giving you the fees for that. They are giving you the maximum results, what they can. They are honoring you 80%. They are not negotiating with you. They are the ones who are being the most value. Treat these clients as the you can have some damad in the house. These are your damads. Treat them as damad, and 20%, see, you have to handle 20% and it will give you 80% revenue. Even if you leave that 80% client, the revenue will be 20% less only. You see it, you check it out, 100% tested method. Whenever you will see 80% of client will give you 20% result. But our focus is on, our energy is on that 80% itself. So whenever you will leave these 80%, whenever you see that 80% of your 20% of your client has been taken care, 20% of the staff has been taken care, then what will happen? These process, these tasks, 20% of these tasks which give you 80% result will be enlisted. And when you enlist these 20% tasks, focus your energies on that. What will happen? 80% of your time will be free then. Now, by 20% energies, you are getting 80% result. So what will happen when your 80% energy will be released? You can have how many time returns? 4 times. By additional 80%, you can get 320% extra return. And this will happen when you start implementing the systems. Today, what happens? You want to implement the system, but you don't have the time for that. You don't have the time to create that system. Why? Because 80% of your efforts are getting into those 20% clients which are not giving the returns. So you need to free yourself from there. So how to get free out of it? When you will list these 80% tasks, those are giving 20% result or operational in nature, not of growth object, delegate them. How to delegate? First, appoint one person who will be your shadow. You can say whatever you are doing, they can do it with the same diligency, but does not require technical intelligence in that. For example, your PA or EA or whatsoever you can say them, your assistant, who is qualified enough to handle these things, who do have the knowledge of follow-up and coordination, to who can 80% of our energies are going into follow-up and coordination, that whether that staff has done this or not, we need to follow up again and again, follow up with the clients, follow up with the tax authorities, coordination with the client, coordination with the staff, coordination. This is what we are doing. Follow up, coordination, and delegation. This is all we are doing right now. So what you have to do? You have to enlist these tasks which can be delegated to another person. Otherwise, also we are delegating it to our staff. Delegate it. Have a person who can take the follow-up of that task which has been delegated, and keep the follow-up again and again with the same person. The person will come with a report in a day that, so these are the tasks which needs to be done in an hour, or in a say 50. Your time will be taken 15 minutes only. But if you will follow again and again, your whole day will be vanished in that. But if you will appoint the person to delegate these things and follow up, the whole of the task will be done on time, and your energies will be free. You will feel energized. So 80% of tasks can be delegated, which are recurring in nature. Like ITR has to be filed, audit has to be done, balance sheet has to be made, statutory audit has to be done, concurrent audit has to be done. They are all repetitive tasks for which you can appoint someone who do have the CVOT of less than yours. Of course, yours has the highest CVOT in the system. So you can appoint someone whose CVOT, for example, if CA is required, you can appoint another person who is just become a CA and just train him to do the work. And for example, if your CVOT is 10,000 and his CVOT is 2,000 to 3,000, you are saving 7,000 of the CVOT of your time, and you can use your time for the development of your profession and your business. I call it as business. So this will happen. This will do? This will create a system of the replicas in your system. Yeah, your work will be proficient enough, like the service of the hotel. Your service will be the same each and every time when it will be delivered, because it has the SOPs. It do have the system which will be delivered. So you do have the system which will give the same results, same reports again and again, and by applying the same process. Though we need to analyze the processes again and again in a year, but that time will be the very less than the time which you invest again and again by doing the same work. Create a system that manages 80% of your work, which are recurring in nature, so that 80% tasks are done, giving 100% results. See example, if you have applied those system on the 80% of your task, Those 80% tasks will give 100% result by the system. Rest is 20%, which need to be taken care by yourself. See the specific particular consultancy or particular client dealing or particular audit or particular assignment. Invest 20% of your time in that. 80% will be free. Now your 20% will give 80% results. Then balance 80% will give, since you will replicate it, you will create it, you haven't focused on the inquiries which have been there. I usually see when I talk to so many of the CAs, when I talk about them, whether each and every client visited your office for the service has been converted or not. I believe no, so many of the CAs don't have the data even. So many clients visit you, so many clients call you, and you don't have the data for them. The customer who has came to you to take the service, you haven't converted that. So what about the other thing? I always call it that the CAs cannot market themselves, but CAs don't know how to convert the leads. I'm not talking about every one of them, most of them, because we are engulfed in these works, day-to-day working, operational working, so that we cannot think about it. And when we are not thinking about it, we are losing the business. The person who has came to you has taken the same service from other person. So you haven't converted your own client, which has came to you. I'm not talking about the references. I'm talking about the word of mouth person who has came to you. So these energies, when free, will be utilized in the purpose of the conversion of these clients, and the system will produce you the results. So when the results will be there, the client will convert like anything. So this is a particular science which works like anything. And I believe me not, if you apply this science in your systems, you can get the best out of your systems. See, this is a topic which needs to be taken care very, very, very diligently. I will not say that remove all your things right now, but start analyzing it. And start analyzing it, make a sheet of it, whatever you are doing in a day, and make sure that you mention them that this is an operational one and this is a growth one, this is an operational one, and make a list of it, how many activities you are doing in a day for a growth work. And if you are not doing a much of it, increase some portion of it day to day, so that in a year or so you engulf with the activity of giving the growth oriented task more value rather than on an operational task. So this will increase your number of clients, your quality of service, your on-time delivery, and ultimately give you the more satisfaction that you are for whatever work you are working. See, whenever we do our work, what we expect from the client, that yes, sir, your work is commendable, you are doing a great job. The person is have a great praises for you. So this is what we work for. But we haven't involved the system, because when we started the practice, we were dealing with each and everything was going very well. But when staff came into our system, the system started the lapses. And because we cannot replicate yourself in the system, and that's why the system hasn't produced the same results again and again. So what is required is, you replicate the system, and 80% of that can be replicated again and again. And once it has been replicated again and again, the results will be the you can say it is an exponential results which can increase into GP. We always say the business can be 10x, but the practice cannot be 10x. I believe that practice can be 100x if we work on that. We need to think about that. We are still working for so many of the clients which are not giving you the same worth which you deserve, even investing 2 hours for them and earning not less than 10% of the fees you deserve. So this is something which has to be addressed well. And I'm not saying that leave their client, but make the system so that these clients can be dealt by the system itself. You need not worry about that. So this is the science. And I believe this practice automation will give you the 100% result, but this is just a gist of it. See, this is a technical part of it, and everyone has to apply it very diligently, and each and every aspect has to be taken care, and it will require a lot of time and energy. And once it is done, it will give you the 100% result, that is for sure. And I guarantee you, I can assure you, your profits will be at least 2 to 3 times increase, 2x or 3x, if you apply these things. And if it is not done, I guarantee you that I will give you this result by any means. So this is all about practice automation, and we talk about current scenario of profession versus future of profession. And this is something which is very much debatable right now. When I see the current scenario of profession, I always see the traditional CS working like anything. And 80% of them are still working on that. We are more or less dependent on that type of practice itself. If we talk about that ITR filing, audit, and the traditional work in our cities is the major source of our earning. These balance sheets, these things are the major source of earning. But do you think these will work in the future? Do you think you need to prepare the ITR? Do you think that GST returns will be prepared by us? I don't think so. Coming in the current scenario itself, it has been changed. When we talk about the e-invoicing, nobody have thought that e-invoicing will be there and we will be having the e-invoicing system in the GST portal. And once it has been introduced, you are getting your return automatically prepared. In the future, they will reduce this limit to 2 CR, then to 1 CR, then so on, so and so forth. So what will happen to us? Whether this clerical part which we were doing from last so many years, whether it will be there or not, I don't think so. It will be there. So we need to adapt to the upcoming opportunities. When we talk about edit log, one of them, current real-time accounting, it is the need of the hour, and I believe the government is of the thought process that in the coming years this system will be introduced in each and every aspect of in each and every business, and you need to maintain edit log of each and every system. So what do you think? This system of the accounting will be there for us? No, it will not be there. So what will happen then in the future? Whether we should shut down our practice or whether we should adopt to new technologies or new things. As already said by Finance Minister that auditor need to be very analytical enough, though we are analytical enough, they are saying that analytical enough should about the trades which we are thinking of in the future, or the opportunities which we are which is there for the CAs in the future. The finance minister was very much certain about the things that I will be requiring around 10 lakh CAs in the future. But for what? If these things are not there, for what they are looking forward for the CAs? I believe they are looking forward for the CAs for the automation of these books into the technological book, the books which will be supported by AI, and the tools for to audit them with the AI. Now we need to adopt to the AI tools to audit. Now we need to adopt to the AI tools for the tax. Now we need to adopt to the AI tools for the financial planning. And this is the current time where you should adopt it, because in the coming 20 years, 25 years, the economy will change like anything, and your expect if you will not cope up with the changing environment, the others from other economies will come to this profession and get the benefit out of it. And I believe Indian CAs are the ones who can work like anything. They are the tendency of working for 18 to 20 hours a day. So why should not we get the opportunity to put shoe forward and knock these doors where the opportunity is lying with us? One of them opportunities I always see is cloud based accounting, which is there, which is current in a current scenario, which is very much there. But the coming in the AI era, you need to adopt to the systems where you will be giving the global accounting, and through the AI, you just have to get this work done. And then you to analyze, and the analytical part of will be increased rather than clerical part of it. The data analysis part will be more with us rather than the data entry part. So our role has to be changed from the audit tools which we were using earlier to the new tools of the AI. And I believe the emerging opportunities is so many emerging opportunities. I believe IS audit will be the compulsive audit for all the organizations which are working beyond the turnover of say for 10 or 15, 25 CR. Then IS audit will be the must for them. So this is the one of the opportunities which is growing like anything. Another one is global audit and global accounting, which is growing like anything. I see our firms are collaborating like anything in the recent years, and I believe there are so many of the firms which are totally dependent on these types of services in India itself. So we believe that if you adopt these technologies and these systems and these services in the future, you can grow like anything. As far as company compliances are concerned, there we are working like the traditional approaches. It is working, but in the coming future, it will be like not like that. So each and every area where you are working, you need to analyze whether there's an additional opportunity which is coming in the future, and you need to work on that from time itself, from current time itself. Then also only you can adopt to the future opportunities. Otherwise, the future opportunities will lapse with you, and you need to think about it. So whenever I see ITR filing will not be there. There will be automation of data, automatically EIS and TIs. We are already seeing through the systems. You are getting the data that this is from next time onwards, and from the coming years, we will see that these income will be put in your total groups itself, and you just need to verify whether this income is a salary income. Click verify, and I think the return will be filed. So this will be the future of the return filing. So whether one will give you the fees for that, I don't believe so. He can see all his transaction in front of him. Why he will give you the fees? So what will you get the fees? You will get the fees that analysis of your profile through AI and giving the tax suggestion that yes, of course, you can do this transaction by this manner and you can save the tax. And it can be anything about that. You can give you the various, see, when you analyze any data, there are so many options which come into the your say armor. When so many of the technology are there on which we are working, we need to adopt to these technology, and we should get with some technology, some types of product which can deliver the clients in the near future. So I believe in the coming future, there will be the opportunities in the field of tax planning consultancy. I believe the consultancy will be the heaviest part of it. And we need to work on that, whether we are technologically equipped enough to plan that or suggest that and give the consultancy like that. So that will be the future. Accounting through data entry is the current scenario, and I don't believe that the data entry operations will be there. It will be automatic accounting tools which will be there whenever you are entering into any of the transactions. It will be automatically accounted, and for that you need an audit tool. So for example, anything you need to audit, I don't think so the current audit tools will be enough to audit that. And even in the today's scenario, we have seen so many of the audit tools which are coming with AI, and your work is like they are already generating all the reports. They are already creating all the reports. So we as a CA has always been adaptive enough to all these technologies, but we need to understand if we are not transforming ourselves into a future practicing firms, these opportunities will go from us. And of course, those who will be the early movers in these things will get the maximum results out of it. Indian accounting and Indian taxation is the current scenario with most of us. I'm not talking about the some exceptional ones. 10 to 20%, 80% of are working in the Indian accounting, Indian taxation system. And it will be the change. It will be a global accounting, global collaborations with the firms. Because see, global companies are coming to India, and it will be a global accounting systems and global taxation. They will rely on you. Why? Because they are operating in India. So they need the person who can understand their tax laws and our tax laws and collaborate with them. So that will be the future of the profession in the coming year. And I believe if we adopt to these things, we can have the great system from now onwards, and we can adopt those clients with us. So we can onboard those clients and say, for example, our fees is like in rupees, they're in dollars. When we convert them, it's a great amount of fees in respect to our country. So I believe the system, and don't worry about the cost of the systems and the people. We are the best enough to have the costing method applied in each and everything, and we will recover each and everything about from them. Manual business system, and we are right now working to see. I'm also working on the business automations. I am dealing with so many of the clients where we are not working for the taxation and compliance part of them. Some of my clients are taking my services only for the business automation, and we are automating their business. And believe me or not, they're happy enough. They are happy enough that their results are, their profits are increasing like anything. Their sales are, so they are not worried about the taxation part. They are worried about, they are now concerned about how much we can grow. So this is one part where we can put our shoes forward, because we understand the business well, we understand the figures well, we understand the tax laws well. So we can automate their business well. We can transform their business well. And if they are growing their profits by 100x, for example, 1x, 100%, 200%, they can give you 10% of that to you also. Your fees will increase like anything. So this is one part of it that you can work, even if you are not practicing, you can work on these consultancy part. Compliance-based practices today's scenario, but I believe in the future it will be a growth-based practice where your business, your financial planning, your suggestion, your systems will be the main concern, and people will not talk about only about the financial compliance. People will talk about the financial growth. They will talk about the best returns, post-tax, pre-tax, post-charges. These will be the discussions with the people. They will talk about the investment of proposals which will be there for them in the near future. So I believe in the coming years, the profession will turn around. It will turn around on its head, and you need to be there to it. Because see, when we are seeing these GST compliance and all that, with the tightening of the laws, this practices of assessment and appeals will certainly grow, but not with the traditional approach. It will be the new approach, and it will be the new world altogether. So I believe we must, when we thought about this Excel and Google Sheets and all that, we haven't believed in the system and that it can be done by these things. Now we are working on the Power BI and all these things. So in the coming future, you will see a new level of technology. And if you are not adopting to these technology, you cannot grow like anything. So this is the time which has been given to me is just an hour, and I believe this particular aspect and each and every aspect has to be taken care of. It's a separate module. And if you want to get yourself free from all the calls you are getting, all the staff checking you are getting, each and every aspect of that comes to you, each and everything which comes to you, you have to adopt to your system. And if any one of you have any query, you can ask me here also, and you can contact me after this webinar also. This is my details where you can take these details with you. And if you do have any of the concern with the automation of your practice and with the new opportunities, you can always talk to me, and I would be happy enough to help you out in these things. And it will be a great learning both ways. It will be a good learning to me also. I keep learning from you people that there are so many things which we can work. So I would like to thank this CP committee for organizing such a new type webinars, so that the members can enrich themselves with this type of things which coming in the practice. So thank you, CP committee. Now over to Sakshi ji.
Sir, truly enlightening session, sir. It was superb. Actually, the need of an hour to discuss upon the ground reality with regard to practice. You know, the stress, the work overload, the dissatisfaction we face time to time on daily basis really need to be taken care of. And thank you for suggesting the best ways, like 20 rule 20 80-20 you said, and the delegation system, the CVOT. These were really new to me, and I'm going to apply this to my practice actually. So thank you for the valuable contribution, sir. And in fact, you have taken care of the topic so well and explained it really very well that we have no queries related to this session. So thank you so much for the contribution, sir. It was amazing session.
Thank you.
Now, to start with my formal vote of thanks, I would like to thank both of our speakers first to share with us your expert knowledge on the topic. Next, I would like to thank the Chairman, CP Committee, CA Purushottam Khandelwal sir, and Vice Chairman, CP Committee, CA Gyan Chand Mishra sir in his absence, the team of organizers, and everyone who have contributed to the success of this webinar. Next, and of course, our participants for their patient listening and being interactive time to time in the form of their queries. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.